Let me take you to the scorching deserts of the UAE. He was a taxi driver whose experience on a quiet night still haunts him.
A taxi driver in the desert of UAE. Now that sounds like a whole new nightmare.
It happened back in the 90s. My father's friend used to drive a taxi in the UAE. He had countless passengers and a trove of late-night stories, but there was one tale he'd rarely speak of. One that he said was too strange to share casually.
What made it so unforgettable?
One quiet evening, while parked near the outskirts of the city, an elderly woman flagged him down. Dressed in traditional Emirati attire with her face partially hidden, she politely asked for a ride to an event deep in the desert, far from civilization. As they began the ride, everything was normal. The lady sat silently in the back, gazing out the window. But once they left the busy city behind, she mentioned she'd forgotten to bring money for the fare. He was a bit annoyed, but decided to finish the ride. After all, they were already more than halfway.
Sounds like he was just being polite, but I have a feeling it wasn't that simple.
Right you are. As they ventured deeper into the desert, a strange wind picked up, swirling the sand into intricate patterns around the car, as if forming a barrier. He slowed down, unease creeping in, but the woman remained calm, even offering a faint, knowing smile. When the wind passed and the desert returned to its eerie silence, she started talking. She asked about his life, his struggles, and his family. Her tone was compassionate, almost maternal, and he, though cautious, found himself sharing details about his hardships, his long hours, his distant family back home, and his dreams of returning to them someday. In return, he asked why such an event would take place so far into the desert. With a small, mysterious smile, she said nothing at first, then gestured toward a distant glow. Moments later, shimmering lights appeared through the haze, a lavishly decorated event in the middle of the barren desert, complete with golden lights and distant laughter.
A lavish event in the middle of nowhere. That's unreal.
Unreal indeed. When they arrived, he was taken aback. There were no parked cars, no clear road, just a gathering. The woman asked to be dropped off at the entrance, apologized again for having no fare, and thanked him profusely before vanishing into the crowd.
And then, I bet the night was far from over.
Not at all. He lingered for a moment, unsettled by the surreal scene before him, then decided to head back to the city. As he headed back, that same strange wind enveloped his car, swirling even more violently. He muttered prayers under his breath. When it finally subsided, he entered the city feeling shaken. But as he parked his taxi, something in the back seat caught his eye. Small, polished gold stone glowing in the faint light, exactly where the mysterious woman had sat.
A gold stone?
Yes, he kept the stone for weeks, keeping it as a reminder of that inexplicable night. In the end, he chose to sell it to get back to his family and spend the rest of the life with them. What was that night? He couldn't quite explain. A night that made him question whether he'd encountered a mere passenger or something far beyond the ordinary.
It's unsettling and also surprising to have a gift in the shape of gold from an unknown passenger. I bet that lady was something more.
A delivery driver, whose routine route turned into a nightmare one quiet night. And trust me, this one will give you chills. My friend was on what he thought would be an uneventful night shift, delivering one last parcel to a small store on the outskirts of town. The highway was desolate, so quiet that every little sound made him jump.
I can already feel that tension. What happened next?
About 15 minutes from the store, his headlights caught something up ahead. A child, barely 8 or 9 years old, standing on the side of the highway in an oversized white coat. At first, he slowed down, instinctively trying to make sense. Why would a child be out here, alone, at night? But as he got closer, he noticed something off.
Off how? What did he see?
As he got closer, the kid's face appeared distorted, as if the features were drawn by a clumsy hand. It was as though the child was wearing a mask. And the strangest part, the kid didn't even flinch as his truck passed by. He glanced in his rearview mirror immediately, expecting to see the kid following him. Yet nothing was there.
That's disturbing. Did he stop?
No, he did not. His hands were shaking. And though he tried to convince himself, he couldn't shake what he just saw. He thought maybe the light was playing tricks or something.
So, he just kept driving.
Yes. He reached the store, still rattled. The cashier, a man in his 40s, noticed his unease. "You okay?" The cashier asked. Our friend just mumbled, "Yeah, just long night," not wanting to explain what he'd seen.
I can only imagine how that felt. Did anything else happen?
After finishing his delivery, he grabbed a coffee and tried to convince himself it was all in his head. The store was well lit and busy with a few late-night customers, which helped him to get calm and normal. But on his way back, the highway grew even darker. He was nearly halfway home when he spotted a big tree branch lying on the road. It was too big to drive over, so he had to stop. He stepped out to move it. He left the engine and headlights running, and he could not shake the feeling of being watched. That's when his skin crawled.
Crawled. What did he see?
As he approached the branch, every hair on his neck stood up. And then he saw it. The same child, now standing at the side of the road, half hidden in the shadows, staring at him with that distorted face.
No, did he run?
The kid did not move, did not even blink an eye, but stood there looking straight at him in the eye. Frozen in terror, he backed away and jumped back into his truck, locking the doors immediately. With no phone signal, he reversed carefully around the branch and sped back to the store.
That's unreal. So, did he report it?
Yes. Once back at the store, he practically ran inside. The cashier, alarmed, asked him if he was okay. "There is a kid out on the highway," he stammered. It sounded ridiculous, but the cashier helped him call the police. When the police arrived, they explained everything as calmly as he could. They searched the highway for over an hour but found no trace of the kid, and then an officer came and said that they found only a small, decrepit structure. A shed in the woods. He said that he followed the officer and the structure was made of weathered wood and overgrown vines. Inside, there was nothing. A rusted chair, a broken mirror, a few scraps of fabric. No trace of the child. No footprints. No toys, nothing.
It sounds like he was caught between reality and something unexplainable.
Maybe. He does not know. One of the officers asked him if he was sure that he saw a kid. He answered, but his words felt hollow. He got back into his truck and drove home, but the image of that kid's haunting face stayed with him. Whatever he saw that night, he was afraid to take the same route again. Back in 1998, my friend moved into a hostel near his college. It was cheap, close to his campus. A typical place for a young student starting out. That's where he first met Sarah. She was from a different department, and they bumped into each other during lunch. Her laugh, it lit up even the dullest corner of the cafeteria, he said.
Sounds like a classic meeting. So, they hit it off.
They did, instantly. Sarah wasn't just beautiful, she was smart and curious. They started meeting regularly at a little cafe, a cozy, tucked-away spot where the owner or anyone barely noticed them, capturing moments that my friend thought he'd cherish forever. He even kept a printed photo of her in his wallet, a keepsake of brighter days. But then, as exams approached, Sarah became distant. One day, she said, "We should focus. Let's take a break until the exams are over." And just like that, she vanished from his life. No meeting, no interaction, nothing.
This must be the moment when she disappears, right?
After waiting for almost a month, my friend started asking around. Strangely enough, students in her department hadn't seen her. When he went to the hostel, the warden avoided his eyes and mumbled, "I don't know who you're talking about." Desperate, he turned to an older professor. But the moment Sarah's name came up, the professor's face darkened. He frowned and then said, "I don't know her. Leave me alone."
That sounds so off. What did he do next?
He reported her missing to the police, giving the hostel room number she once mentioned, room 195. The police initially treated it as a routine case until the officer investigating pulled him aside and said, "The room you described." He hesitantly said that it's been locked for years now. Sarah was a student here a decade ago. She took her own life in that room.
Suicide.
My friend refused to believe that and swore that he spent weeks hurt just a month ago. Determined, they returned to the hostel that very evening. The warden reluctantly gave key to the police officer. The officer, and he pushed open the room. The air inside was stifling, dust and cobwebs everywhere, as if time had stood still. That night, sleep eluded him. In a restless dream, he saw Sarah. She was in pain as she whispered, "Search the room." The next day, he went back. Almost fought with the warden when he asked for the key again and went inside the room. There, near a window, he discovered a loose floorboard. Beneath it was a small tin box containing faded photographs, a blood-stained scarf, and a letter addressed simply to my dearest parents.
What did the letter say?
In the letter, Sarah wrote about a man, a professor who had harassed her relentlessly. She warned that nobody listened to her and that if anything happens to her, know that it wasn't her choice. My friend was horrified. He took the box straight to Sarah's parents, who lived in the outskirts of town. Her mother wept while her father, filled with restrained anger, admitted, "We knew about the professor, but no one listened. They claimed it was suicide." The police reopened the case, confronted with mounting evidence, including a photograph of Sarah arguing with that old professor in the campus courtyard. He finally broke down. He confessed that in a violent confrontation, he'd pushed her. Panicked professor then staged her suicide to cover it up.
So they finally got justice.
Yes, the professor was arrested. But for my friend, the loss was bittersweet. One night, weeks later, he dreamed of Sarah again, this time in the cozy cafe where they'd met. She smiled softly and said, "Thank you, you gave me my voice back." When he awoke, he found her photo, the very one she'd given him, lying on his desk. But something was different. Her expression was peaceful, as if she had finally found rest. He processed the photos he had taken back with her in the cafe, where they used to meet, but the photos showed her absence, like she had vanished from those memories altogether.
That's heartbreaking and haunting at the same time.
Exactly. He keeps that photo she left as a reminder that even the quietest voices need to be heard. Sarah's story remains a haunting testament to the injustice that can hide behind silence.
Now, I have a thought for the audience. Do you really believe these events could be more than just tales?
Let's leave this on them to decide. But remember, every shadow, every whisper, could be a reminder that some mysteries are closer than you think.